force it now.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let me redo that.
Now you gotta get over this way a little. You slide your fork or you can't slide it clean.
Now it's going that way all the way. Up, down.
Alright, we're getting there. We gotta do a little tuning on the transmission to get it turned around. But we're about 5 inches away from the mounts. We're getting really close. That's it right there.
You're top good.
That's it right there. Alright, so we got the motor mounts bolted in. Jonathan's down there putting some grounds on. Vic's asleep under the transmission back there.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
We got the front cross member back in. There's not but 16 bolts holding this cross member in. 8 on the top and 8 on the bottom. And Jonathan seems to think that there's no way it would possibly need 16 bolts to hold this thing up in there. But we put them all back in anyway. And I told him he put some wrong bolts in because they all should be red up here and they're not. Yeah. So I guess that'll mean something's gonna screw up in the future.
Good job.
But so we're in the process of bolting stuff back up right now and getting it all hooked back up so we can have a running truck here in a month or so.
A month or so?
A month or so.
We hope it's quicker than that, but we'll see. It seems like it's been that long already.
Pieces and parts. It's in the floor in there. All right, so this was an ambulance, so it has 2 alternators on it. One here and one here. And then Jonathan had made up a a hydraulic pump setup that went right here. So since we're going to run a PTO drive pump, we need to put the factory style tensioner back here. So he went to get one off of a parts truck. Then while we were in here, there was a bunch of ambulance wiring that had been cut. All this wire right here was extra wire that ran to the ambulance. Every bit of that 90 miles of wire right there was extra wiring. There's still more over here that runs, you know, all the lights that were on the ambulance and whatever. But we're not messing with this conglomeration right here. But all this wire was already cut under the cab. So while we were on there, Vic, while he was under there with the transmission stuff, decided that he would fish all that stuff through. So after cutting 40 million zip ties, we got it pulled out of there. So, and while they were messing with that conglomeration, I was in here. I bolted the turbo back on and all the exhausts going into the turbo. So that's all hooked up. So all we've got to do now is the exhaust pipe right here, which is pretty simple band clamp. So we'll get that done. It's getting really close. Getting really close. So we're working on it. Right. Alright, so we got the tensioner and the eilers on here. And we measured, I think he said we need a 132-inch belt, so he wanted to look us up a belt. So we can get a belt on here. And I think once we do that, the front of the engine will be pretty much dressed out. And then we'll be ready to put the radiator and everything back in. But I think we're going to get the belt on first, so we don't have to be leaning over everything. And you need to have the belt on so you can tighten the fan back up to the hub here. So we'll do that, and then we'll be ready to put all this back on. And then we'll put the front end back on, and all the intake ducting and everything. But pretty daggone close now, so we'll get that done and be good. So, alright, so we got all the heat shielding back on, downpipe for the exhaust on, fuel lines hooked up, transmission harness plugged in. Like the back's pretty close to be buttoned up.
He grabbed at the whole harness and pulled it over on that side.
Well, we got an FPU switch there.
I think
We got fuel lines that need to go in there.
that's getting good.
One brake on there, don't need to be on there. Let me put this up in there. Put this other fuel line up
So we just, like I said, one plug at a time. Alright, so I think we got everything done. Waiting on a belt to come in. And just top the radiator off, put oil in it. Ready to fire it off?
Yeah, but you know if it ain't right, then you can't put the video on.
Oh boy.
I think everybody knows by now I don't do that.
Alright. Gonna fire it up now to
We know everybody loves a fail, right?
Yeah, you get more views that way. You're hoping for one right now.
No, not really. I want to hear this thing fire up. I really don't want to pull it back out.
They sure did when we blew that thing out there on that pile.
Yeah, the only crappy part is I got a barrel pump.
Alright, so since we get this belt, we'll put it on and we'll be ready to fire this mug
Got a
up.
funnel or what? Beep, 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 beep.
Alright.
They play the damn anthem and then go off.
Here we go. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Ain't shot either?
No, hell no. You know me better than
I
that.
know you could say that. I just
Pump some
can't-
air out the fuel system here.
Want me to pump it?
They put that pump in a convenient place, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, wonderful fly. I don't know why they didn't stick it up under the damn tire on the back. Up under the truck somewhere. Soft as hell. Okay,
Alright, so we switched the injectors and the rails and all that stuff, so the everything from that pump that we're pumping all the way up to the injectors, it's got to get fuel in it before it's going to crank.
Oh, baby, fire up.
First start, here goes.
Oh man, that's sweet right there. You hear that? Oh man. Oh yeah. Alright, so we're going to let this thing get to operating temperature.